Hi guys, I just came back from a really long vacation this morning and I went to Asia, so it's been a couple weeks since I've seen Smokey. In fact, it's been the longest time that I've been away from her, so as you can imagine, I really miss her, but at the same time I'm really excited to see her because I have no idea how she's going to react. I mean, I know that a lot of people say that the birds have a tendency of getting really aggressive if they've been away from the birds for a really long time. So of course, that scares me and it makes me nervous, but I'm also really confident and I have a feeling she's going to be perfectly fine. So let's go check it out. Alright guys, so I'm on my way out to the aviary. As you can imagine, I'm super excited right now. Smokey? Hi, Smokes! And hi, big bird. Hi, Smokes. What you doing? What you been doing, Smokes? You want to scratch? Good girl. Step up, Smokes. Good bird. Hi, Smokey. You want to go inside? Let's go inside. Alright guys, so the first thing I gotta do is I gotta wash her feet, because I don't know what she's been doing. But I want to make sure that she doesn't have anything on her feet that can get my arms dirty. So this is just good hygiene. Good, Smokes. Can you try the foot? Alright guys, so here's Smokey, and what you guys didn't see off camera is that she's actually been stuck on me for the last couple hours and she wouldn't leave me. Whenever she's on the sofa, whenever she's around the house and I walk somewhere, she just flies to me and sticks to me like Velcro. So even though I've been gone for a couple weeks and I haven't seen her for the longest time, she still acts as if though we just saw each other yesterday. So that's, for me, is really good news. And I just have a couple comments I want to make because I know that a lot of people have been messaging me. And one of the biggest questions that people ask is, what do I do with Smokey when I'm away from home or when I'm traveling? And here's how I want to answer that question. First, I want to say that if you guys have a lifestyle that requires you to travel a lot, for example, your work requires you to be abroad for most of the year, I wouldn't recommend getting a parrot at all. These are really social animals, and in the wild, it's really unnatural for them to be separated from the flock members. So being away from the human counterparts is something that's really unnatural and something that could cause a lot of stress to these birds. And especially with a bird like an African gray, that stress could lead the bird to pluck its feathers out or resort to more self-destructive behaviors. So I definitely wouldn't recommend you guys get these birds if you're going to be gone for most of the year. However, a lot of people would argue and would disagree with me on this, and I know that a lot of websites out there and a lot of bird books would say that if you have a parrot, then your life is pretty much over and you're never going to be able to travel again. And my take on that is, I don't completely agree with that. And the reason is because I think that having a parrot, I mean, we dedicate our lives to these birds. And I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of time with Smokey at home. There's so much time, so much money, so much of your energy that goes into these birds. And I think that it's actually very healthy. Smokey, you want to get on my shoulder? I actually think it's a really healthy thing for bird owners to once in a while just take a short vacation away from home, to be away from the birds sometimes. So you can kind of rejuvenate, kind of just relax and get your mind off of, always having to deal with the stress. And yeah, it is stressful living with a bird, because a lot of people see these birds and they see my interaction with Smokey and she's really cuddly, but what they don't see off camera is it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of time that goes into training, but also into providing an enriching environment for these birds so that they can thrive in our care. Now, to the most essential question of all that a lot of you guys have been asking, and I know Smokey right now is a little bit wary of the environment because we just hung out a flag for the 4th of July, but she's kind of wary of that flag flying around right now. But I think right now she's not too bad. But just to make sure, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close the blinds right now. So just give me 1 second. Alright guys, so on to the most essential question that I get most often from people. And the question is, a lot of people ask, what do I do with Smokey when I'm away from home for a really extended amount of time, or when I'm on vacation? And there are several things you guys could do. One thing is you could hire a bird sitter. And there are such things as bird sitters, just like they have dog sitters who come and walk your dogs. You could also hire a bird sitter. Now, the only thing about bird sitters is you guys got to be able to really trust that person. Make sure that you guys get references. You make sure that the person is not only reliable, but is also trustworthy, because after all, parrots are really expensive. A lot of people know that. So the last thing you want to do is hire somebody who's going to come take your bird and never come back. So a bird sitter would be one option. However, with Smokey, I wouldn't trust anybody with her that I don't know. And having a bird that's flighted is a completely different story. I mean, I wouldn't hire somebody who comes to my house, no matter how many years of experience they have with birds. The bottom line is, not a lot of people, and the majority of bird sitters aren't very experienced with having a bird that's flighted. So the last thing I want to worry about is having my bird, Smokey, fly away from home when I have a bird sitter. So when I'm away from home, the only person that I trust is my mom. So my mom actually helped me to hand feed Smokey when she was only 5 weeks old. So I think she has a really good idea of what Smokey's like. She's able to handle Smokey, and I can trust her because I know that she knows how much Smokey is worth to me. So when I'm away from home, my mom takes care of Smokey. And a couple more tips I would give you guys. Whenever I'm, like for this last vacation, I literally, before the vacation, spent days making foraging toys. And I made sure that every single day, when my mom couldn't keep an eye on her, that her cage was filled with foraging toys. So that keeps her mentally stimulated. It keeps her mind off from, me being away from her. And that really lowers her stress level. Now, I also, in addition to that, made sure that my mom would spend time. And I specifically wrote out a list, of what to feed Smokey every day, what not to feed her, and some things that are toxic to parrots, because after all, people who aren't used to birds might not be used to some things that are toxic to birds. So if you guys are going to be away from home, make sure you make up that list. But again, it's really important that whoever takes care of your bird, they need to know that you can't just put food and water inside the bird's cage and expect the bird to do well every single day. Literally, my mom was in contact with me for a lot of the time during my time away, and I made sure that she knows that that interaction between her and the bird is super important. Even if it's interaction from outside the cage, and even if she's just standing there talking to the bird, that social interaction is really important, because again, these animals are really social. It's really unnatural for them to be away from their flock in the wild. Let me see if there's anything else I missed. You guys, I'm really sorry if I seem really tired. It's been a 15-hour flight, so I am dead tired still. But there was one last thing I wanted to mention about being away from birds, and it just slipped my mind. Oh yeah, one last thing. Technology, guys, has been a big help. When I was away on this trip, I was able to FaceTime my mom on several occasions, and you know, if I were to call her on my phone, it would cost a lot of money. Most of you guys are aware of that. But to FaceTime, it's completely free. But that also allowed me to kind of talk to Smokey over the screen. Now, she kind of had a hard time seeing me through the screen of the phone, but the fact that I was able to talk to her through the phone and for her to hear my voice, I think that really plays a big part in keeping her calm, letting her know that, hey, I didn't abandon her and that I'm going to be back. And in fact, when I was FaceTiming my mom, there were several occasions when I would actually give her the cue to talk on cue, to turn around on cue, and she would actually listen and do all of that. And my mom would be the one that would actually reinforce her with the treats. But those are just some tips that I'd share. So if you guys get anything from this video, there are two things I want you guys to understand. One, if you're going to be away from home for most of the year, I wouldn't recommend you guys get a parrot. These are really social animals. They don't do well if they're going to be away from their owners because it's really unnatural for them. It's going to be really, really sad having a bird locked up for most of the time. You're not going to be there with them. And two is if you guys are going to be away from home, make sure you guys find somebody who's trustworthy and somebody who's reliable who can take care of your bird. And by taking care of your bird, I mean not only feeding them, not only watering them, but also spending time playing with them, socializing them, and just giving them that social interaction that they need every single day. Alright, well I hope that answered you guys' questions about me and Smokey. And I gotta get back to spending more time with her right now because I totally am looking forward to spending all of today with her. Mwah. How are you, Smokes? Can you say bye? Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good girl. I still know that. Good job.